Someone in Warner Brothers, they said, we have 3 projects we could throw your way. I said, all right, what are they? And they said, one is a remake of an Outer Limits episode called The Architects of Fear. The second is Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. To which I was like, really, didn't we say all we needed to say with the first Beetlejuice? Must we go tropical?
Hello and welcome to Cancelled Movie Report, the documentary podcast series that talks about the best movies that Hollywood never made. My name is Michael Campbell, but you can call me Cambo. And joining me, as always, is actor, comedian, and someone that's friends with Johnathan LaPaglia, Mr. Eden Porter.
Thank you very much for having me, Cambo.
Now, we have someone joining us that I'm very excited about because this gentleman has actually been on the show before, but people may not recognize his voice because we never get him to use his real voice. He is an amazing impressionist, but also a fantastic comedian in his own right. Cameron Logsdon, welcome to the show.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. And also, this is my real voice.
Yeah, it's going to take people maybe a few minutes to get used to it now.
Sure, they'll have to adjust. Everybody's always like, well, I kind of hear this impression coming through, or this one. It's like, well, okay. Well, maybe you're just hearing those bits of me that slip into my impressions because they're not as good as I want them to be.
Well, we're so excited to have you. We are talking about a pretty bonkers script this week that has actually been requested quite a few times throughout this various seasons we've done. Eden, what are we talking about this week?
Today, we thought we would tackle the long gestating classic comedy film, Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. Yes, hence my shirt.
Oh, you've themed the shirt. Very good. Well, okay, you know what? Without any further ado, let's get into it.
Now, 1988, Beetlejuice became a cultural phenomenon. It was a touchstone that people just knew about. You could just see that black and white striped pajama anywhere and you would instantly recognize it. Now, of course, there's got to be a sequel in the line. When something is that big, there is definitely a sequel. Well, we were waiting and we were waiting and we were waiting, and that sequel just never came. So the closest we actually got was in 1990, just only 2 years after the 88 release. So it was definitely being talked about, very exciting. And there was a gentleman by the name of Johnathan Gems, who was got along with Tim Burton. Does anyone know maybe another writing credit of Johnathan Gems?
No, I've never heard of him.
Other than the made-up name, that sounds mentally.
The only other of credit thing that I could find for that Johnathan has done has been the film Mars Attacks. Yes,
Okay.
He was a screenwriter for Mars Attacks, another Tim Burton joint.
Tim Burton guy, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Now, do you guys have any connection with Beetlejuice at all? Anything?
My wife loves Beetlejuice, so she's always been a big Beetlejuice fan, and so Beetlejuice was like around when I was a kid, and then it was kind of maybe outside of my just general lexicon, like it didn't bleed over into my life. But then she came around and she's like, oh, we have to watch Beetlejuice again around Halloween season or whatever. So now I feel like I've seen it a few more times than I would have as a kid. And I watched it as an adult and was like, oh, I do like this better. Like as an adult, I was able to appreciate so much more of it. And part of it, I think, is just looking at all of the stars that were in it at the time.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild to see.
Now, my connection with Beetlejuice, we have a theme park in Australia called Movie World, yeah? And it's sort of connection with Warner Brothers.
And Cameron, don't worry if you've never heard of it. There's no reason you would have.
Now I have to hear about it.
Yeah. So there is a ride for the film Gremlins, yeah? At this theme park, there is a ride for the Gremlins, like, film franchise, right? And in this ride, it starts off in a cinema, so you're all sitting down and you're meant to be watching a film about the theater and everything like that. And so you're watching that, and then all of a sudden the Gremlins take over the theater and they go, quick, everyone, the Gremlins are taking over. And all this stuff starts happening on screen. And then they get you in a cart behind the screen and you go on a little track ride, right? And all the Gremlins are doing this craziness. Out of nowhere, at the very end of the ride, Beetlejuice, the character, turns up and saves the day. It is so random.
That classic hero Beetlejuice.
Yes, it's
like
classic...
from in Gremlins. Yeah.
I know. So it's really weird. It's just Gremlins and Beetlejuice combined, and this Beetlejuice comes out and saves the day. So that was my connection with Beetlejuice, and that's where I went back and saw the film and everything like that. So I was like watching Beetlejuice, going like, "Where are all the gremlins?"
You didn't know who Beetlejuice was before he saved your day. Before he saved the day in the Gremlins
I'm like,
ride.
who is this guy?
That would be the most obscure thing to put. Like that would blow your mind.
Did you also watch Gremlins being like, you wait until Beetlejuice shows up, you little sons of bitches? He's going to sort you out, I know.
Oh, man. It was crazy.
Yeah,
so that's where my love of it started.
By the way, this is how up-to-date our movie world is. Their Batman that they have roaming around taking photos is still the Michael Keaton Batman. And it's been that the whole time, so much that that's come back around to Michael Keaton becoming Batman again. They haven't done that deliberately. It's just never changed.
It's gone on that popularity cycle where it just like somebody who never got rid of their baggy pants and they're just back. Yeah. I told you. Yeah.
Can I just say as well, what a change in the movie like ecosystem that you can have a big hit like Beetlejuice and they would go, do you want to make a sequel? And everyone goes, I don't know, maybe. Like that would never happen these days.
Absolutely
not.
Well,
we'll get to the reasons why a bit later on. But let's get into the film. Now, the film itself, this is straight off the back. So this is 1990, and the film itself happens not long after the original film. So casting-wise, it didn't get to the casting point, but the understanding is it would have hit all the
same people.
Winona Ryder, Michael Keaton, everyone's in there. Also, interestingly enough, this cast does feature another actor that we shall not name. And we've done our best to voice match a lot of the other characters. This one we didn't because of the issue. Let's just say, if you know about it, you can always look it up in Google at the end of the day.
Because we didn't want to voice match that one particular actor, we thought we had a fun idea for a game. And Cameron, you're obviously very good at voices, that we thought we can kind of hot swap in actors in real time. So maybe we can actually just recast him with whoever we want.
We can see who fits.
Exactly.
Sure.
Okay, Cambo, are we ready for the Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian?
Let's do it.
We open in a small, messy bedroom in a rundown house. An outline of someone lying face down in a bed wearing striped pajamas is seen. Yeah, we can't tell who it is, but I think you can probably have a guess.
No, we can't tell who it is even.
Suddenly springs up face first into camera. It's the man himself. It's the ghost with the most. Yes, it's Beetlejuice. Straight off the bat, we're hitting you with Beetlejuice in the face. Now, there is also a woman lying face down next to him in the bed. Can't see her face, though. Interesting. Is this a Chekhov's face, maybe, Cambo? Now starts a classic bit of getting ready morning scene with Beetlejuice. You know it's going to be a little bit of a Beetlejuice twist here, right? So we've got him opening a window straight up and flames just screaming through the window and hit him in the face, and then he shuts the blinds. He has a toothbrush over his teeth for a second, then washes his armpits with the tap water. He eats a cockroach that passes by. He pours a kettle into an empty coffee can and slurps the sort of residue up into an Elvis sort of mug, and he does a bit of an Elvis impression in there, like a classic Michael Keaton Elvis impression. The woman in bed wakes up, and we pan up to see beautiful legs, beautiful torso. But then we get to the face, and it's hideously disfigured with blisters and everything. This is Beetlejuice's current girlfriend, Rita, referred to as Rita, the burns victim.
Jesus.
Yeah, because remember, in it has how everyone died. You sort of pull that over to the afterlife.
So she got burnt in the face.
She got burnt right in the face.
Just the face.
Right. She gives him a goodbye kiss, and he says, he sort of pushes away, like, "Look, I'm going to be late." So you can tell that he's not really into Rita. He puts a janitor's cloak over his pajamas, grabs a mop and bucket, and leaves for his new job, a supermarket janitor.
Can I just say, this is a classic trope of comedy movies. If you want to introduce someone, especially as a schlub, you show their morning routine. Like, it's such a classic. Normally they've got
put them through the ringer.
Yeah, they've got bills that are laid on the table, or they've got a parking ticket on their car. Or you learn about how much of a schlub they are. So this is the Beetlejuice version of that, I guess.
Correct. You can tell right away that things are not going well. It says in the script, things are not going well for the juice. Yeah.
Okay.
They mix up his name a bit in the film. It's either BJ, Beetlejuice, the Juice, Mr. Juice.
But I mean, the Juice famously the nickname of a certain, shall I say, athlete or convicted killer? I'll say athlete.
Yeah, we'll
from the
athlete.
90s.
Or star of the Naked Gun movies.
Star of the Naked Gun movies.
Bronco driver.
Bronco driving.
Yeah.
So he then goes to leave. He actually tells her as he walks out, "Don't forget to put the bag with the eye holes on your head." And he's made a bag. He's made a bag for her to wear. So it's pretty straight off the bat. It's pretty mean.
Maybe not a great relationship with Rita.
No, not at all.
Not that hero, Beetlejuice, savior of all the kids on the Gremlins ride.
Yeah, exactly. So then we're walking through a bizarre sort of afterlife world. Never-ending desert. There's a road filled with zombie traffic, a slug with a human head eating cardboard. And then there's opening doors to nowhere. And there's also a box labeled Gone Cat with a dead cat on it. I think that's like a Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah, Schrodinger's cat,
yeah. He eventually arrives at an empty supermarket. As Beetlejuice mops the floor, he takes out an old photograph from his pocket. It's Lydia Dietz from the first film. This is Winona Ryder. A noise startles him, and he turns around. This is our first scene.
Holy shit, came out of nowhere. Are you Beetlejuice, the bioexorcist? Yeah. Who wants to know? I am the Kahuna of Kanuka. So, this is the cat food section. We need your help. The Holy Island has been violated, sir. They build on the secret land over the bones of our kings. Ah, you're crying me a river. That's really too bad. I can pay. You're gonna pay me? In what? Come on, shells? And potions? Sorry, fellas. No dice, okay? I lost my license. Lost your license? Yeah. I see. I go. Hawaiians. Jeez.
Okay.
First little taste of Hawaii. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. First of all, we need to shout out Joe Gaudet is voicing Beetlejuice for us. Incredible. He's such an incredible impressionist.
Love Joe. Perfect impression. It sounds great.
Well, here's a question I want to ask. This was written in the 90s. Is it going to be kind of racist?
But you're on the right track, but you've got the wrong topic. I wouldn't say it's racist.
Okay.
I would say it is very, very sexist.
Oh, right.
I was going to say, we already got Rita face. He's talking about putting a bag over her head, and he's looking at the picture. If I remember right, the Winona Ryder character was she was like 18. If this is 2 years later, what is she like?
She was 14.
She was 14?
She was young.
Wow.
She was really young. Yeah.
Real Indiana Jones situation here. To recap as well, Beetlejuice was never meant to be seen as a hero. He is the antagonist of Beetlejuice. Yeah. But to be clear, his plan in the original Beetlejuice movie, was to escape this realm that he's in, which is, by the way, we can talk about that in a sec, but I love the Beetlejuice realm, by marrying this young, impressionable girl, tricking her into marriage, therefore escaping from that realm.
Gives more credence to the Elvis impression. I mean, I don't know.
Yes. I didn't put that together, but yeah. So, okay, interesting. We maybe don't need to worry about the racial insensitivity. We need to worry about the sexual politics.
Yes. Keep an eye out for it with your sexual harassment bingo cards, gentlemen.
Great.
Okay.
Great place to start.
Yeah, great. Now we cut to a moving helicopter. We see Lydia, Winona Ryder, DELIA, Catherine O'Hare, and Charles Dietz, who shall not be
unnamed.
Looking out of the helicopter window down at a tropical island, we hear Charles explaining how he bought this Kanuka island and is building the Dietz Paradise Resort Hotel on it. We're then on the ground as development has already started, bulldozers, all that sort of stuff. A bunch of crabs are crushed under a wheel. This sort of introduction to paradise being destroyed. Now we find a bunch of protesting island teenagers that they refer to a few times as surfers, potheads, and various other sort of groups of teenagers, stuff like that.
A group of misfits? That
kind of sort of. Yeah, sort of. Delinquents, they call them sometimes. But it's Kimo, Ginger, Edgy, Skukafi, Francisco, Toga, and Jerry. Don't worry, their names are not important. Only one of characters important, and that's Chemo, the hunk guy.
Chemo.
Now, Otho from the first film is also there, and he sort of comes with a bunch of security guards and chases all these kids off. So they're sort of out of the way. And
he works for the family, right?
Yeah. He's like, I think he's the he helps design their house and things like that. We zoom out on the construction site and we see a welcome to the Dietz Paradise, 14 days to the grand opening. Nice little ticking clock there. We've got this countdown to the grand opening. Yeah. The Dietz then land and make their way to the hotel site where the island teenagers are now protesting the environmental impact this development is having on the island. So it's very, this part of the film is very now. Like, it's very like, hey, probably at the time were they calling it global warming back then? I don't know. They're saying the island is cursed now due to the damage that's being done. And so there's no more waves, which is interesting enough. So there's no waves on the island anymore. So all the surfer kids are really annoyed at this as well. Lydia is embarrassed by her dad's capitalist scheming, and she sort of shies away until she sees Chemo with his tousled hair, his good luck. In the script,
the big hunk.
In the script, it says that she is urgently attracted to him.
Urgently. Wow.
So that's
an interesting way to describe it.
Yeah.
Not intensely, but urgently.
No, urgently. So everyone chats, sort of go home, and they move past the crowd. We are now in a Hawaiian restaurant with Charles, Delia, Otho, and Lydia. They speak about how the development is doing, and Otho designed the whole thing. And as they speak, Lydia sort of sees in the corner of the room the ancient kahuna ghosts sort of playing draft. They are looking, they're looking right at her, and they sort of look at her and they go, hang on, she can see me. And then they vanish. So she still has that power to see ghosts like she did in the first one. It also becomes apparent that Charles and Delia's marriage is very strained. In fact, in a side conversation, Delia also confesses that she's going to move forward with plans to divorce Charles, as he's too obsessed with money these days. But the prenup hasn't been updated, so she's finding that she's like, oh, I don't know, the prenup's not updated. Are we going to get a divorce or not? So that's a whole undercurrent there.
Yeah. Okay. So we have Catherine O'Hara's character divorcing the husband.
Yep.
And we have Winona Ryder's character who is still seeing supernatural element. They're seeing ghosts.
Correct. That is correct, Kembo. Now, on the seashore, sometime later, we see Lydia meeting and befriending these beatnik kids. They talk about wanting to sort of save the island and that the local holy man, Mr. Maui, might be able to help them. They ask him why there's no surf, and he tells them that the ancient spirits of Kanuna have cursed the island to discourage the development. This is bad news for the surfer kids, yeah? Is there anyone that can help? Mr. Maui points at Lydia. Yes, her. Mr. Maui tells Lydia, now this is where it gets a bit weird already. Okay. She not only has the gift to see dead people, but she also has a magical ability to sing Hawaiian hymns and call waves back to the island. A side effect of having previously lived with ghosts in Connecticut.
Right now,
yeah. That's
it's as far as cultural appropriation. I think I'm safe in saying Lydia, especially in the Beetlejuice movies, is the whitest person in the world. Oh, yes. Like whiter than regular Winona Ryder. Like they make her even whiter.
I don't know. Most people in a Tim Burton movie are quite pale. I think it's like it's a pale universe. There's not a lot of sun. And if there is, they've got good SPF.
She has the ability to sing these Hawaiian hymns.
Yes. So this starts a really weird scene with Lydia sitting on a rock and singing something like a whale song that slowly starts to bring waves back. And the surfer kids are all like, yay! And they head out to the ocean. We cut between Lydia and Chemo surfing. And he's sort of like a really good surfer. And it makes a note of something. Everyone is surfing in the moonlight. Chemo approaches Lydia after catching enough waves, and they sort of talk into the night about saving the island, and he sort of is really sort of falling for her, you can tell in this conversation. They come up with this crazy idea. The only way to get her father to listen to them is to kidnap him. So now begins a crazy kidnapping scene.
Is there any pushback on that, by the way?
No. She's like, I'm in. She's like, I'm down.
Yeah. Okay.
They're still teens, though.
Yeah.
So, their ideas weren't going to be good to begin with.
Yeah.
Especially if they're like, you've got ghost powers and I just want to, I mean, they're all over the place.
What an afternoon. This has all happened in an afternoon. You've got ghost powers. You can do the tide should we kidnap your dad.
Yeah, it's one hell of a sort of entrance to Hawaii, this thing.
Yeah.
How committed to the sport do you have to be that you just found out about ghosts, you just found out about ghost powers, but you're still like, I got to catch these waves. Like, it's the surface too good.
Yeah.
The waves have been gone for days,
So begins a scene where they intercept Charles on his way to breakfast and they bundle him into a Citron. Now, they make sure to mention that the car is a Citron. I don't know whether there's some sort of product placement thing going in here. But they definitely named the car about 3 times in the script.
What is a Citron?
I don't know. I don't know.
Well, it hasn't worked then because we don't know what it is.
It probably needed this movie to come out for
This is why.
to keep afloat.
We've got 25,000 Citrons waiting for the release of Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. Then there'll be a demand.
This film was made by that money, and then it never came out yet. Big Citron. Then they sort of tie him up, and all the beatniks surround him, and they're trying to convince him to leave the island. They're like, leave the island alone, leave the island alone. And then instantly security comes in and arrests all the kids, and that is the end of that entire scene. It's like, finishes like that. Now, Lydia manages to escape unseen into sort of the jungle. We now cut to Lydia consulting with Mr. Maui, the island holy man, about how she can help the guys who have just been sort of imprisoned. Kimo's looking at 10 years jail possibly for kidnapping. So she's like, oh, what could we do? Now, this is the first mention. She mentions she has a potential trump card to help them. Everyone's favorite sexually harassing demon could come and save the day yet again.
All right.
Now,
a bioexorcist is needed.
Yes, this is right. Now, Mr. Maui persuades her to wait to summon him until she's traveled to the afterlife in an astral form and gotten Beetlejuice to sign a contract promising he will do exactly what he says without all the crazy stuff that these sort of undead people usually get up to. So Mr. Maui knows what's up. So we're on page 35 of the script, and we've had like hardly any Beetlejuice at all.
What I will say is this starts with Beetlejuice, whereas the original movie, he doesn't show up till about 45 minutes in. So I think that feels to me like a producer's note to be like, you show Beetlejuice right away.
Yeah, we want the juice.
And because he's not going to appear again for quite some time.
Yeah. So now begins, this is where Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian has its first big, crazy, insane sequence. Because this is sort of Lydia's trip to the astral plane and afterlife. There is so much craziness in this thing. I've just dot pointed some of this craziness, right? Okay. So it sort of mirrors a lot of the original film.
How is she getting to the astral plane?
They just do, her and the holy man just sit down and she just, he just,
it's like a meditation thing almost?
Yeah.
Right.
So they start doing that. But the vibe, it says in the script, vibe is sort of Fear and Loathing, Las Vegas style.
Okay.
There's all these non sequiturs. There's bits that just simply there just to be weird. Like it's sort of weird. So she's in this lunar landscape, and here's some of the highlights. A shape-shifting worm, a trip through the Garden of Eden, presided over by an Eve-like female goddess called Gala.
Okay.
Yeah. Who has all these exotic extinct animals around her.
Yep.
An ocean full of helium, which Lydia surfs across. I don't know how they show that it's helium, but it's helium. A bone monster with lungs for eyes. Yeah, this is getting really weird. Angry humans constantly driving around Saturn-like rings of a planet in perpetual traffic. She's looking for Beetlejuice, asking all these people, can you help me? She then befriends a head with feet. So it's just a head and feet, right? No body. Yeah. And this
so she's made it to the other side now. Was she passing through those other things?
She was going through all this insanity.
It's just like a Doctor Strange in the Mountains of Madness style, going through different dimension style
things
situation?
Are just throwing at it. Like, it's weird, right? So she befriends...
They're all very Tim Burton-y, though.
And it's got to be like a joke bucket, right? Where it's like everything is like a little bit of a bit, and it's...
Gag.
Like,
yeah, exactly.
I would like to see some 90s stunt casting in some of those. You know what I mean? For like the Garden of Eden goddess that's overseeing everything. Stuff like that would be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that would be really great. So this head with feet is named Dave, and she actually befriends him a little bit. And sort of starts talking to him about, can you help me find Beetlejuice? She even goes on a date with him to a trendy afterlife restaurant. And I think they only do this to have this scene, because they then have this scene and they pan across. It's like the Mos Eisley Cantina. There's a group of Sasquatches having dinner. There's a snake woman eating raw eggs. There's a gourd matador on a date with a blue-faced drowned swimmer. So the matador's got like a bullhorn in his chest.
Yeah, in him, yeah.
And then there's this female swimmer who's dead. There's a bodybuilder for no reason at all, just in the corner by himself eating stuff, which is weird. And then there's a headless corpse who's slurping spaghetti through the hole in its neck.
Yeah. These are all very Tim Burton-y creatures.
Crazy
I can picture
Tim Burton
this.
stuff.
Yeah.
Practical effects.
All practical. Oh, you'd imagine all practical. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So this is even before meeting with Beetlejuice, yeah? This is all just craziness. And Beetlejuice is still just in his convenience store working away. Lydia then concentrates really hard, and she's got Dave with her, and she's like, I should just be able to just see where Beetlejuice is if I'm in this crazy world and I'm not really a person, I'm just an astral projection. So she sort of does that for a minute, and then bang, they find Beetlejuice sitting on a packing carton out the back of the grocery store. He's reading instead of a Penthouse magazine, it's a Pent Up magazine.
Hello?
Why does everyone sneak up on me? Whoa. Wait a second. Is it you?
Uh-huh.
How'd you get here?
I came out of my body.
Where's your body now?
You're not dead.
I need your help.
Yeah, well, alright. Here's the deal. They took away my license. What can I tell you?
Oh my God, this is messing with my head.
Okay. If I get your license back, will you, in return, scare some developers off an island?
How are you gonna get my license back?
Will you do it?
I gotta think about it, okay? Give me a second here. Alright, let's see. What do we got? I want her. I need her. I gotta have her in my life. And I want to get out of here. I want to be mortal.
She has to fall in love with you.
Ha, no problem.
And marry.
Come on. Piece of cake. All right, I'll do it.
Good.
What's that?
A contract.
Come on, my word's my bond. What do we need a contract for?
I don't trust you.
Hey, Lydia, we need to talk.
Excuse me. Sign it.
You know, you were pretty cute before, but now you are one beautiful young lady. And I mean that. I truly do.
Do you still want that body?
What? Sure. Whoa! Oh my God! I'm him! Whoa, classic!
Would you witness this, please?
Hey! Somebody want to tell me what's happening here?
Dave, I want you to take his place while we're gone.
Hey, wait a minute.
How quickly can you do it?
I don't know.
You know what? You take as long as you want. Wow. Oh my God. This is excellent.
Come on, this way.
I mean, he's always been lecherous, hasn't he? We shouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
And just to explain what happened there. So her and Dave's just a head and feet, sort of talk to Beetlejuice. And as part of the contract, they made it so Dave could magically turn into an exact copy of Beetlejuice to continue working in the supermarket so no one would know that he's gone.
Is it ever explained how that happens, or is this just another power that Lydia has?
No. This is just. There's so much stuff in this film that just happens. It's just okay.
Another shout out. We need to shout out Paige Galdieri, who is voicing Lydia Dietz for us with that great Winona Ryder-esque voice as well.
Very classic. It's really good.
Some of the talent we have in this episode, next level.
It's amazing. So, before Beetlejuice can help her, though, he does need to get his license reinstated. He said that a couple of times. Now, they achieve this by making a deal with a black market dwarf who, in exchange, gets to inhale Lydia's astral form like marijuana. So basically, he says, I'll do it for you if I can smoke you. And she's like, what do you mean? And he's like, smoke you. And so he inhales her. She goes through him and comes out. And then she's really baked. And she's like, and yep, you've done it. And he gives Beetlejuice his license back. And then basically from that point on, bang, everything goes white. Lydia now returns to the land of the living in Mr. Maui's hut. Yeah, the deal is made, and so now she says the immortal words, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice. Yep. Officially summoning Beetlejuice to Hawaii. Yeah. So now he's back, and he gets straight to work. And again, this is really weird. She says to him, first of all, before you do that, you've got to free my friends from prison. So in about half a page, he magically gets them released.
Okay.
It's seriously...
He doesn't walk in as a lawyer or anything. He just... Okay.
There is nothing clever about this. It's literally a car driving up with Beetlejuice driving it. The security guard gets out and he's got like a hypnotized look in his eyes.
Right.
And he just says, "Oh, sorry, kids," and all the kids get out.
Gotcha.
And then it's never mentioned again. It's almost weird they even did it. I suppose they just needed a reason.
Free.
Yeah, they just needed a reason to get him over there, I guess. I don't know. So all the kids are now basically out through Beetlejuice using magic. Could he hypnotize people in the first one? I forget.
Yes, he makes them all sing a song.
He can make them dance. He possesses their bodies and does the dance. Yeah.
Okay, so there's some background to that. Yeah. This is all wrapped up. So Juice asks Lydia, he said, "Okay, I've freed these people. Before," this is such a weird line to put in the script, right? He says, "Before I get to scaring the developers, can I have a little bit of time off to relax and enjoy Hawaii?" And she goes, "Okay, I'll give you 3 days to enjoy Hawaii."
3 days?
It's so weird.
There's a ticking clock already in this film.
Right. Added another clock to it. This is where the film goes, it's like full Hawaiian. So the next...
Well, it did promise it in the title that it would go Hawaiian.
It should.
I'm telling you right now, this section of the film, the promise of Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian is now fulfilled over these next 40 pages. This becomes a plotless beach movie hangout with lots of pervy magic. Beetlejuice is an immediate hit with the kids, yeah? Posing as a of course. Kids love Beetlejuice because he poses, this is weird, he poses as a fancy celebrity photographer, Bruce Weber. Now, they don't say in the script what Bruce Weber looks like, but it'll be that classic sort of Beetlejuice in a disguise where he looks sort of... Yeah.
I'm kind of picturing him with a Hawaiian shirt just over his stripes.
I'm thinking it's a striped Hawaiian shirt.
And maybe... maybe like a lei or something.
And I think at some point, definitely he'd be in the Budgie Smugglers, striped... They sort of, just board shorts,
He's got to be slathering on some sort of gross sunscreen.
Oh, slime. Yeah. Now, because he's on a bit, because remember, Michael Keaton wore a fake gut for the first one, so I imagine he'd have the gut out, for this one and everything like that, right? So, do you want me to go through some of the sexy hijinks that Beetlejuice gets?
Well, before you do that, I wonder, and maybe the hijinks will highlight this. This is something that we notice as Australians, Cameron, is our film industry is partly funded by our government. Mm-hmm. So sometimes when stuff is filmed here, there are very obvious things that the government has told them to do to make Australia look really nice. So Anyone But You, The Fall Guy, all these movies filmed in Australia have these sweeping, beautiful shots of Sydney Harbour and all of the landmarks and stuff that is built into their budget that can be used for tourism. So I wonder whether or not any of this was maybe they're trying to get funding from the Hawaiian government to be like, here's a bit of a tourism opportunity for you. So Eden, with that in mind, what hijinks does he get up to?
Okay, well, that is I'm sure there's a lot of great scenery and there's a lot of great Hawaiian stuff, but this is mainly focusing on getting sexy time with local Hawaiian girls. So he gets girls to pose sexily as he's like a photographer, and then when their boyfriends interfere, he turns them all into a giant totem pole with their hands all sticking out.
Okay, right, yeah.
There's a volleyball game against a bunch of Australians. It says Australians, Beetlejuice wins it by detaching his arms, and his arms start playing, and everyone freaks out. Beetlejuice... He's always in his Hawaiian gut. He's watching Lydia and Kimo kiss, and he's getting very jealous of them, right? Beetlejuice's mind cloud, which is sort of his self-consciousness that sort of comes comes out and talks to him.
I feel like we heard that briefly in the other scene.
That's what we heard in the other scene. It's sort of like he's conscious. His mind card tells him to just kill Kimmo and let Lydia go, and then he can get her on the rebound. He can be like the rebound guy. But Beetlejuice has a different idea, and this is more hijinks, right? So he uses, again, magic to turn a cactus into a sexy teen girl to go and basically hook up with Kimmo, right? So he turns a cactus into a girl. Now, Lydia and the cactus are now competing for Kimmo's attention.
So she doesn't look like a cactus,
No.
right?
She looks like a girl. She's got a cactus bikini on, right?
Okay.
The character's name is still Cactus. Like she refers to herself as Cactus. Yeah.
Okay.
Introduces herself stuff. So this then creates a four-sided teenage love triangle, except one of them is a 40-year-old Michael Keaton and the other is a sentient plant.
Yeah, right. So it's a love square in a way.
It's
interesting.
It's just these three teenagers and then a 40-year-old Michael Keaton being like, hey, how you going? Yeah.
Look, this is the era of your Jerry Seinfelds and such dating teenage girls. So maybe it was just in the zeitgeist and everyone would have said that's fine. But looking at the lens of modern day, I don't call me brave, but I'm against it.
Oh yes, brave, Gambo, brave.
No.
You know, I don't want to be patting myself on the back either, but I'm going to go ahead and say not okay, not allowed.
Whoa.
I think one of the things that's important to remember about this time is I think it would have been less like if you were to sell a movie that was Beetlejuice Goes to Hawaii in the early 90s, it wouldn't have been like a let's show the sweeping landscapes of Hawaii in like a Moana type way where it's like, oh, let's honor the culture and the heritage. It wouldn't have been that at all. It would have been very like Baywatch-esque. It would have been, oh, like bikinis, you know, like that's totally what the vibe would have been. So now it kind of makes sense as to why we're getting all these like sex adjacent hijinks. And
what this screams of to me, the screenwriter Blake Snyder, who wrote a lot of screenwriting books, has a thing that he calls the promise of the premise. In the first half of the movie, if your movie is about something or titled something like Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian, you need to deliver the promise of that premise. And this sounds like they've squeezed it all into one montage. To be we haven't really done the Goes Hawaiian thing, so maybe we'll take 10 minutes out and have him look at sexy babes on the beach and volleyball and such.
It gets worse, Cambo. It gets worse.
Great.
Because now, right, Cactus is actually hooking up with Kimmo. Right?
Sorry.
Cactus.
Okay, yeah. Cactus is,
Okay, and this is, like, now I totally agree with you guys. Like, this would not work in a post-Me Too environment, this film, because what happens next is outrageous. So, Beetlejuice starts then, like, getting a bit handsy with Lydia. So we do several ghost hands jokes with him, like, feeling her up. They go on the dance floor, and, like, he has 4 arms, and he's, like, holding her butt and her side and her head and all these sort of things. Then it gets really weird. Really weird.
Oh, now it gets weird.
Now. Yeah, listen to this. Beetlejuice turns Lydia and himself into mer people, right? So they've got mermaid tails. They swim to the bottom of Pearl Harbor and have a make-out session in the wreckage of battleships.
Oh my God. What? Now, at the start of this, I was scared this wouldn't be respectful to Hawaiian culture. But as it turns out, it's not respectful to anything.
At all.
At all. Wow.
Do you know what's really
in the
weird?
wreckage?
Is that they're playing Beetlejuice as sort of this like he's like an arsehole ex-boyfriend sort of guy, but he's still really sexy and like all the kids like him.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's such a weird combination. It's so weird.
This reeks of Johnathan Gems low-key thinking Beetlejuice was cool.
Oh, yeah.
In the first movie. And he's like, well, you got to have him be, the kids like him, and he does get the babes.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So then this is...
Just in terms of disrespectful makeout.
This has got to be right up there.
There's the movie The Fault in Our Stars. I don't know whether anyone's ever seen it, but that got a lot of flack because it has a makeout scene in the house that Anne Frank lived in.
Ooh.
What?
That's where they have their first kiss in that movie. What is more disrespectful, do you think? A makeout scene in Anne Frank's house or a makeout scene in the bottom of Pearl Harbor in a shipwreck?
I mean, I was a teen parent, and I will tell you that teens have no respect for their circumstances. Like, if teens are going to make out, they're going to make out. But I think that the Pearl Harbor 40, actually like hundreds of years old specter that is Beetlejuice, right? Should he be making out with a mer teenager at Pearl Harbor, to say the least?
The only edge I'm going to give The Fault in Our Stars is they actually filmed it.
They
just
filmed
the audacity
it there?
I don't know whether it's a recreation.
They actually made it. This didn't see
it's in the movie. Like that actually happens. Whereas at least this one had the good graces to be cancelled.
That's fair. Yeah.
Oh god. Okay, so I think that's ranking up there. We'll keep a list of most inappropriate makeout spots in movies. I think that is currently right.
Honestly, for a quick second, I thought you were trying to tell me they filmed The Fault in Our Stars on location, and I was like, okay, actually now I see the backlash. That would not be good.
I don't know enough about the production of the movie. I wouldn't think they'd dare, but who knows?
It's so funny. Okay, so now they try and do a sort of a recreate or a homage to that amazing scene in the first Beetlejuice, the Deo musical number, Deo, and he gets them all to sing.
Mm-hmm.
So they do their version of that because you've got to have that in a Beetlejuice film.
You gotta have a big musical number.
Yeah. So but this is a bit. It's basically more of a conventional extended live performance by Beetlejuice of the song The Harlem Shuffle, not to be confused with the Harlem Shake.
The Harlem Shake.
The Harlem Shuffle. Little note, you can go listen to it on YouTube. I think Rolling Stones did a version of it. It's an older song, but
here's a clip.
Yeah, there you go. It doesn't seem to come off as well as the Deo. That seemed really fun. This seems more of a straight Beetlejuice gets up ahead, does the mic, and does a little song.
Also, the thing about Deo is it was so left of center.
Yes.
Like that's not a cool, quote unquote, cool song. The Rolling Stones aren't covering Deo. No. And it was so obscure that made it interesting. Whereas this one feels like they're trying to be cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They tried to find
and to recapture it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. It was such a big thing for the movie. If you were going to make a sequel on this, the producers would be like, and do the song, they'd probably just have them do Deo 3 more times in 3 more movies and run it all.
And it will be like, these are the songs owned by Warner Publishing.
This is what you can choose from. Yes, Cambo. Yeah. So putting your corporate hat on for a second there, Cambo. Good.
Always.
Also arrives on the scene here, and he recognizes Beetlejuice from the first film. Not that he's seen the first film.
Hey, you're from the first film. Yeah, right.
He attempts to banish him by saying his name thrice. Right? So he says it twice. Just as he's about to say it the third time, Beetlejuice sees him and magically sort of shoots him out into the jungle, and he bursts into flames. Yeah, and then he's running around in the background of this scene in flames for a while. Otho now spends the rest of the film in full bandages in hospital trying to say Beetlejuice's name, but he's in too much pain, so he can't quite get it out. And that's it. They cut back to that a few times. Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
I like that bit. That's a good bit.
Yeah.
Somebody constantly trying to fix it.
Yeah,
it's a great side character.
The love square scene comes to an end with Cactus getting wet when they try and go surfing together. And when she gets wet, apparently she turns back into a tree. This is what I mean when stuff like the magic doesn't make any sense.
Why should it?
Lydia sees that Cactus turned back into a cactus, and then she realizes, oh my God, Beetlejuice was behind this girl, this cactus girl. So she gets really, really annoyed, right? So she gets furious at Beetlejuice, goes back to him. She starts screaming at him, saying, I'm going to send you back unless you get to your job, yeah? So you've got to start, doing what you said. So Beetlejuice goes, yep, look, sorry, my bad. But instead of going to scare off her parent developers, he heads to a ghostly ancient Hawaiian kulua, which is one of the ancient spirits from before. And he asks for a love potion to help him seal the deal with Lydia, right? He then tricks her into... This is when you can see where this is going. He then tricks her into drinking a love potion spiked drink, and halfway through, she's sort of speaking to Kimono, and then it sort of kicks in, and she's head over heels in love with Beetlejuice, right? So this is sort of the same thing.
This is the same plot as the first movie, just in Hawaii.
So now everyone's in Hawaiian shirts. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I know. Now,
does she have like a black Hawaiian shirt on? Do you think?
Dude, that would be so good. That would be so good.
She had to be the only one not in Hawaiian gear.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
That would have to be it.
Kimo is confused as Lydia sort of heads off with Beetlejuice to make out point on the top of the volcano, where they actually...
Perfectly safe place to...
Oh, yeah.
Make out point on top of the volcano.
So they're making out on top of the volcano, and they have the audacity to have Beetlejuice look down the barrel of the camera and wink down the camera as they're making out. Like, it doesn't feel great. So we're now... Yeah, thank you guys. That is the correct response. Yeah.
Just murmurs from our end. Just...
Yeah. So we are
I
now...
want to jump in the volcano. I can't handle it. It's too much.
Too much. We're now 5 days until the big opening, and Beetlejuice is now sort of with Lydia, and they're in love. And he decides to ask Charles for his daughter's hand in marriage under the guise of he's calling himself Monty Exxon, an oil man.
Now, Charles is the actor we've chosen to replace in this. So I thought, who would be a good Hollywood dad type in a movie? And Cameron, obviously, you can do a lot of great voices. This is just a thought I had. Feel free to debate it. But I thought the new Hollywood dad, the guy that's been Hollywood dad recently, is Owen Wilson.
Oh, yeah.
He seems like the new wholesome Hollywood dad.
I think he's going that route. I feel like Owen's such a good choice. I think especially after, I don't know if you watched the newest season of Loki, he's got this kind of graying, you know what I mean? I feel like he's
got the mo. Yeah.
So as a cancelled movie report first, we will be hot swapping in a completely different actor live with Cameron as this scene plays out. So let's hear it.
Hold on, let me think about this. Wow. All right, hold on. Here we go. All right, yeah. Yeah, here he is. Okay. All right.
Dad,
This better be important.
this is Monty Exxon.
Chuck, how do?
He has something to say.
Mr. Dietz, Charles, can I call you Dad? I feel like I know you already. Listen, it'd be mighty fine if you'd give your blessing to me and sweet little Lydia there. See, here's the deal. We're aiming to get ourselves tied. Right, sugar?
I'm sorry, hold on. Do you mean married?
Oh, you bet.
Isn't this kind of sudden?
Yeah, well, it only takes a moment to fall in love. I laid eyes on her. I was like, I gotta marry this girl. So I was like, can we do it? Can we strike a deal? What do you say?
Wow. I mean, how long have you known each other?
Just a few days, sir, but come on. Heck, I believe in listening to my heart. And my heart said to me, now this woman, she ain't after your money. No. She loves your soul and body for what you are. And she loved you even after you had no more than a change of a Y fronts and a $2 bill. You know what I'm saying? And if that ain't love, sir, I don't know what is.
Love won't let me wait.
I'm sorry, did we meet before?
I don't believe so, sir. But, you know what it is? I think I got what it is. You might know my Uncle Jim, Crybaby Travis.
Hold on, Crybaby is your uncle?
Sure is. Why, he dandled me as a child.
What? I'm sorry, what?
Dandled me, sir, on his knee.
Oh, yeah. Oh, all right. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Gosh, you really want to get married?
I do.
Cut to Charles and Delia working out later that night.
Yeah, his family's in oil.
Do I know the Exxons? Where are they from?
Well, Alaska, I think.
Well, if she loves him.
They've only known each other a few days.
How long did we know each other before we got married?
Yeah, but look what happens. Now we're getting divorced.
Oh, we could have the wedding Friday.
Friday, but that's the day of the opening.
Exactly. Think of the publicity. Daughter of the Dietz Empire marries the Prince of Exxon.
Yeah.
It's a great idea. We could have the wedding straight after the surfing competition.
That was actually amazing, Cameron. I'm losing my mind listening to this.
I'm glad it works.
now we've finally arrived to the big day, the Dietz Resort grand opening. Yeah. And also the big surf competition that was just mentioned, like in the last
and the wedding.
So they just throw that. By the way, that's the first mention of a big surf competition in the whole thing.
That hasn't been said. You haven't forgot to mention it.
I had to reread it. I was like, hang on. They say, isn't that the day of the big surf competition? And I was like, this has not been mentioned before.
Which is crazy because earlier they established a volleyball competition.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You'd think you'd swap that out for a surfing competition to set it up.
I don't know. Well, so Chemo thinks that he can win this big surfing competition and it might impress Lydia and sort of win her back. Yeah, because now that Cactus has turned into a tree. Lydia,
have they abandoned the idea that the island is in any way like being subjected to climate change or global warming, or is that? Are they? They're like back to surfing.
So they are so obsessed with surfing in this, Cameron, that as soon as they got the waves back, they're like, okay, this isn't so bad. Like we've got waves.
That plot's gone.
It's so funny because it just got totally taken over by the Hawaiian hijinks. Like that's what just got taken over.
Yeah. As did Beetlejuice.
Yeah, well, that's right. So now you got to love this, guy. So the surf competition starts, and now we have a goofy surfing fight, pretty much between Beetlejuice.
Beetlejuice is surfing.
Oh yeah, 100%, mate. What, dude? This is Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. So this is a surfing fight, right? So it cuts between both of them, sort of one-upping each other in the surf. So Chemo does something, and then Beetlejuice does something a little bit better. Increasingly crazy stuff, right? So we've got
until they both jump a shark, right? Until they both.
I've actually got that in my notes. I'm like, where is the shark? Where is the shark? It's jumped to this point. So I'm talking. One of them does like a cartwheel, then the other does a somersault, and it gets conclusive. And then at one point, Beetlejuice is moonwalking on his surfboard as he's surfing. Then this is when it gets really heavy. Beetlejuice is surfing in a pipeline while spinning on his head, right? Then he jumps the surfboard off the wave, lands on the beach in front of the judges, and he yells, "Aloha!" It's so...
Like if you're a teenager surfing next to a guy who just was just breakdancing on his surfboard, you have to be like, okay, I throw in the towel, right? Like this guy's got it. I'll give me a few years. I don't know if I get
One guy is just doing magic, which seems unfair.
Now, Cameron, my question, and Cameron, how good do you reckon this would look with 90s CGI? Because you're not practically doing this.
You know what I'm picturing is Batman 66 when Batman and the Joker are surfing on the really clear rear projection. I'm picturing it like that.
Yeah, they're just
everybody's.
So Beetlejuice obviously ends up winning, and the crowd is chanting Monty, Monty, Monty because he's under the skies of Monty Exxon.
Monty Exxon,
yeah. With the surf contest over, we then instantly cut to the wedding, right? So we're in this main ballroom where Beetlejuice and a still dosed up Lydia are ready to tie the knot in front of sort of. It actually notes in the script. It's in front of a really inappropriate mural of Captain Cook being killed by Hawaiians.
Oh, hey, there's a connection to our home, Eden. And good, by the way.
I actually like the idea. I would take out the word inappropriate. That sounds like it might be the best part of them being in Hawaii. It sounds pretty great.
Yeah.
I will say there's something that's pretty great about the fact that although this would have been made in the early 90s, a lot of these messages still ring true. You know, that they're fighting for the climate, that they're trying to protect the island, that, that all the things are there.
I will say we are seeing the point of view of the people trying to develop on the Hawaiian land.
Mm-hmm.
We haven't seen much of the other perspective.
Well, they're too busy surfing,
I guess so. Yeah.
So now they do this little bit. They do this gag bit where they're doing the about to get married, and they're saying, "Does anyone have a reason for these two not to get married?" So then, Chemo then stands up and he goes, "Yes, Lydia's hypnotized by magic," and Beetlejuice makes a little hand thing, and he gets shot out of the room, so he doesn't do anything. Then they do it again. They go, "Does anyone have another reason?" And then Otho then comes in full bandages, and he's about to say something, and then Beetlejuice does a thing, and all the bandages wrap around his mouth. Yeah. Then we do the rule of 3. Then it comes to the third interruption. And let's see how this third interruption plays out.
Monty Exxon, do you take this woman to be your lawful wedded wife, to live together in sickness and in health?
Stop the wedding. He's already married.
God damn it, Mom! What are you doing here?
Gala walks down the aisle, surrounded by a posse of extinct animals.
I'm saving your neck. You signed a binding contract, you idiot.
So what? I'll be mortal.
Well, for how long? Life is only rented. You want to spend eternity in the Grey Bar Motel?
Gala produces a lily flower and puts it to Lydia's lips. She drinks the nectar.
I am Gala the Game Warden, as well as being this poor boy's mother. And I'm telling you now, this mass genocide of plants and animals has got to stop. It's up to 4 species a day now. 4 species a day are being extincted. How can you allow it? What is wrong with you people? For God's sake, for your own sake, have pity.
In a flash, Gala and the extinct animals disappear.
Was that your mother?
It's 1 for the money, 2 for the show,
What's going on?
3 to get ready,
Oh my God.
and 4 to go! I am Lucifer, destroyer of worlds! Lead or perish!
I guess the environmental message did come back.
They really
Here we
crammed
go.
it in there.
Because
it
the
in
twist
strong.
is that Gala from the Garden of Eden is Beetlejuice's mum.
I know I've said this a couple of times, but now the film gets really weird.
So he's transforming, right? Like at the end of Beetlejuice, he starts to transform.
At the end there, his plan's backfired. He can't marry anyone. Beetlejuice just gets enraged. He grows his head to an enormous proportion, and he declares himself Lucifer, like Lucifer, but the juice. And he decides to just kill everyone. Okay, so. This is like everything gets wild now. So all the tiki statues, they start come to life attacking people. Cars turn into metal wolves and start eating people, right? The hotel's impressive collection of prehistoric fossils all start to animate. Yeah? Strangely enough, also, you know the giant heads on Easter Island?
Yeah.
So they come to life. They start crawling around and they pull themselves. They're actually giants, and their heads are just the top part.
Which is true, right?
Which
They
is
do have
true.
bodies, yeah.
But I think Gems, the playwright, has failed to realise that Easter Island is like 5,000 miles away.
Yeah.
Not even close.
That's closer to us than Hawaii, I would say.
So he's just gone, oh, what's Hawaiian? What's island? What's tropical? Let's just throw it all together.
As long as Captain Cook doesn't come to life from that painting and jump out, because, oh boy, he's going to have a wild time.
Or maybe he does and they get him again. You know, I don't know.
Yeah. That actually would be a nice little thing happening in the background. Yeah. So now everyone's just getting killed. Everything's going crazy. Lydia, Chemo, and Mr. Maui try to round up as many people as they can and climb up to the top of the volcano and try and pray to sort of save everyone. Beetlejuice then turns into a giant death's head moth and he starts vomiting slugs over the entire place, right? So now he's a giant moth, like chasing them, right? This is so weird. Delia, the wife, gets... This is really weird, guys. So one of the exhibits in the museum-y part was this caveman, right? He comes to life, and he like grabs Delia and like takes her away to basically ravage her, right? So he takes her, he drags her off, and he starts ripping her dress off, and she's like, oh, but I'm not a very good cook. And she's trying to like reason with him. This is really weird. Yeah. What? Yeah. Dude, it's weird. So then Charles comes out and like punches out the caveman. And this is some crazy way of showing them that
that
he
he
cares
cares.
and that their relationship is worth more than all of this stuff, and it improves their failing marriage. They point to this.
I mean, it is the Back to the Future rule. Like, that relationship is solidified by the stop of sexual violence, and then therefore they are now happily married
Correct.
forever. So I guess it's a weird movie trope, I guess.
It is a weird trope.
It is. Okay, so
Yeah, wow,
so
that's
in the
nuts.
end, Lydia, she's got magical wave powers. So she starts singing
Yes.
the wave song. She summons a tidal wave.
Yeah, she's Moana, yeah.
She summons a tidal
yeah,
wave. Yeah, exactly. So then there's giant tidal waves coming. Her and Kimo start surfing the wave.
Yes.
Right? While she's singing. And it
Yeah.
just washes all the monsters away. Right? So everything gets washed away. This then angers... Beetlejuice is still a giant moth at this point. This angers Beetlejuice to the point where he decides to kill Lydia. So he's like, well, fine, I'm just going to kill you as well, and then you'll be dead, and then I can have you in the afterlife. And he's just about to kill her in his giant moth form, but then Otho finally gets the bandage juice off his face, and after having spent the entire film enduring humiliation and painfulness and all this comic relief, he gets the honor of yelling Beetlejuice's name thrice, banishing him back to hell. And Beetlejuice sort of vanishes, and then we do some quick wrap-ups, right? The island is washed clean of all the development, and now will be a nature preserve because they can't build anything on there anymore. Kimo and Lydia express their love for each other.
So presumably they did lose millions of dollars.
Correct. Oh, no, there's one. No, sorry, Cameron. There is
Yeah.
one line where he looks at one of the other investor people. And he goes, "We've got insurance," and they're like, "Yeah, we're insured. Don't worry." And they give him a thumbs up. So, Kimo and Lydia.
I didn't want the millionaire to lose money.
yeah, I
you
was
see.
very
I
concerned
wanted the
about
property
that.
developer.
I want to make sure that Oprah and The Rock still have their place near Beetlejuice.
Okay, so Kimo and Lydia express their love for each other. Charles and Delia have their love reunited after Charles fought for her. And Dave, the guy with the feet from the start, as the fake Beetlejuice, it just mentions that he started dating a Puerto Rican girl in his body. Really weird. Really weird.
That's what.
Okay.
Just that's how it's outlined in the script.
It says Dave is now with a Puerto Rican girl. Yeah, a Puerto Rican. It's so weird. It's so weird.
Hey.
So then,
Has Johnathan Gems written much else?
Mars Attacks. That's it.
Mars Attacks.
That's
and that's
it?
it.
No, that's it. And that's
Okay.
it. So, guys, to bring it
Yeah.
all home, Beetlejuice is now back in hell, and he comes through the door, returning to Rita in her bag head.
You're late.
Beetlejuice slumps down in his chair.
God damn it. What a day.
I thought you'd gone forever. Look at this jacket. I know you're gonna leave me. I'd better wash it.
Rita starts removing things from the pockets, including a beer bottle, and puts them on the table.
You won't leave me. Will you?
Yeah, yes I will.
Why?
You looked in the mirror lately? You're always crying. It's a real letdown.
You don't love me.
Me and a million others, babe.
You really should get some new clothes. All your clothes are falling to pieces.
Rita takes the jacket into the washroom. Beetlejuice reaches back over his head for the beer, but accidentally takes the wrong bottle.
Wait a second. What is this?
You all right, hon?
Huh? Whoa. Jeez, Rita, you are so beautiful.
I am?
You're the prettiest thing I've ever seen. I gotta tell you that. Say, didn't you want to go to a club tonight?
Got his own comeuppance. Gotcha. He drank the love potion. Okay.
So we've brought it all back together. It's all come full circle now. Beetlejuice is now in love with Rita. And to finish it off, to cap it off, they do go to this hell nightclub. And Beetlejuice again performs the Harlem Shuffle as sort of the outro over the credits. So he starts performing that, and it brings it all again.
They're really banking on this, weren't they, as being a big thing?
God. Yes, they were. This is going to be the music.
They need that song to hit.
Yeah.
So that, ladies and gentlemen, that is Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. Now, I know what you're thinking, guys. What happened to this film? What killed Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian? Well, another film came out in 1989 with Tim Burton and Michael Keaton. And it sort of moved their focus a little bit away from that. And that, of course, was the 89 Batman. Now, that film was absolutely massive. Now, with Beetlejuice coming out in 88 and then this coming out in 89, the talk of the sequel to Beetlejuice got basically overshadowed by the talk of the sequel to Batman. Yeah. So then it became Batman Returns, and then that moved forward. So really, what killed Beetlejuice was Batman.
Batman, who is at Warner Brothers Movie
Bringing
World.
it round.
All right.
Bringing it round.
Interesting.
So in a lot of ways, Batman saved the day, right?
Yeah. The weird thing about Beetlejuice, right, is that he's such an iconic character. And he basically, there was a cartoon, there was like video games, he was on mugs. He was just everywhere as this thing. But he didn't have basically like any other films or anything else to go with it. It was just sort of this weird standalone thing.
You know what's funny about the 89 Batman killing it is there was this funny thing in the late 80s when Tim Burton was announced to be directing Batman. And they said, the rumor was one of his Beetlejuice co-stars will be Batman. And everyone collectively went, whoa. Alec Baldwin. He's perfect. He's tall and he's handsome and he's muscular. And then like 3-4 months later, they went, that's right. Michael Keaton, 5'6", Michael Keaton will be Batman, which is why before there was the internet lost its mind about it. It's so funny because that is especially watching Beetlejuice, like, yeah, Alec Baldwin is a smoke show, like he's tall, dark, handsome. He is the Bruce Wayne archetype. It's so funny that he picked Beetlejuice.
Now, I will just say, by the late 90s, Gems, the writer, he was, at that point, he'd given up hope. It only took him 10 years later to give up hope. He said, you really couldn't do it now anyway. Winona is too old for the role, and the only way you could make it would be to totally recast it. Ultimately, this is probably the right call. The Beetlejuice in Hawaii premise was a little off-brand for Tim Burton. What's more, a sequel that probably would have flopped could have hurt the original sort of movie in itself. It's interesting. From the writer's perspective, the only reason why he thought it wouldn't work was that Winona Ryder was too old.
Was too old?
Yeah, I mean, come on. She's 25 now? You can't.
Yeah, at this point, he'd be making out with a girl in her mid-20s underwater. And
who wants to watch that? Not that. Also, where are we going to find a Puerto Rican?
I just picture him smoking a big cigar, kind of yellow tinted glasses.
I don't think it's possible for Tim Burton to make a movie in Hawaii, right? Like we mentioned earlier, there's too much sun.
Okay, this is going to be weird. Have you seen the Island of Dr. Moreau?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
So, Cambo, Marlon Brando wears this weird shade cloth. He's draped in white and he's all hidden. That's how Tim Burton would be directing.
That's Tim Burton, yeah.
Oh, I'm looking at the image I saw.
Oh, did you see it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. See it? That's...
What an absolute great reference.
Perfect.
Out of obscurity of the 1996 Island of Dr. Moreau movie.
Oh, it's so good. So, Cambo, we always ask this question. Would we have wanted to see this film?
I'm torn because it's bad, but that could be fun.
Cameron, what are your thoughts, mate?
Oh, I have to agree. It seems like it would be absolutely terrible, but I would want it like 20 or 30 years after it had come out. Like 20 or 30 years after it had come out, I would want to be like, okay, but we have to watch the sequel to see how bad it really was. And the surf scenes. I got to see how they would have done the surf scenes.
The perfect situation would have actually been that they filmed it in the 90s and didn't release it. And then they released the 90s version now.
Yes.
That would be the optimal way to view this movie, I think.
It just feels so much like a fever dream. It also feels like the writer began with what seems like would have been a decent sequel. We see more of the Beetlejuice world. We see some, we get some anecdotes and some quirky things, but then it just goes so off the rails and it's got little substance that doesn't add up. So you don't want to see, you don't want to see that project. But I do think that like, it does make me feel like I'm a little bit more excited for a Beetlejuice reboot because I'm curious as to see how we build out that world.
And there's no way it could be as problematic as this one.
No, I can't imagine. Somebody, I never want to say never, but I'm sure they'll curb some of the. I'm pretty sure.
Imagine if it was.
I agree. I think it would have been crazy. It's got some crazy Beetlejuice scenes in it, but maybe is that worth the sexual harassment and all this other stuff?
No, absolutely not.
Well, we have come to the end of our very special cancelled movie report on Beetlejuice Goes Hawaiian. We hope you've enjoyed this episode, and we would love it for you to subscribe, be it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you like to listen. That really helps us get discovered in the charts. We would also love it if you could leave us a 5-star review. We are completely independent here at Cancelled Movie Report, so your support means the world to us. And if you want to support us even more than that, we have a Patreon with a bunch of cool extra podcasts on there to listen to as well. Hey, what did you think of the movie, and did we miss anything? You can always get in touch with us at cancelledmovies@gmail.com or at cancelledmovies on all of the socials. And maybe there's a cancelled movie project you've always wanted to hear about. Just let us know. You can fill out a form in the episode description alerting us to a project, and we may just give it the Cancelled Movie Report treatment. That is actually how we ended up covering this project. This was requested by Grant over on our Instagram. We also have to thank our amazing voice cast, which included Joe Gaudet was Beetlejuice, Paige Galdieri was both Lydia and Delia Dietz, Dani Siller was Gala, Jay Zadeh played the priest, and in a Cancelled Movie Report first, live on the show, Charles was played by Cameron Logsdon. Speaking of which, Cameron, thank you so much for coming on the show. You've actually been on the show many times before, but this time you're actually yourself. So tell us, where can people find you?
They can find me at Cameron Logsdon on all the social platforms. And thank you again so much for having me. It's good to be here in my real voice, and also for a little bit not.
Love it. And that was a Cancelled Movie Report first as well, so you can obviously put that on the resume.
I'd love to be a part of history. Yeah.
My name is Michael Campbell. I have hosted and edited this episode, and Eden Porter was my co-host as well.
Thank you very much for having me, Cambo.
And we both produced the show. Next week, we are staying in the 80s again. We are covering the requested topic of a little movie called John Carpenter's Shadow Company. And from Auntie Donna, joining us will be Zach Ruane. Here's a little sneak peek.
In a small town gripped by fear,
the bodies of the 6 American MIAs were found this week by a group of self-styled mercenaries from Pacola, Washington.
6 soldiers from a secret Vietnam mission rise from their graves.
Almost nobody in the Pentagon even knew it existed. The unit was called Shadow Company.
From the mind of Shane Black comes a tale of vengeance beyond the grave.
Mom? Are you here?
Heather, come on. What could she be doing down there?
You know how to use this? No. Learn.
Why can't they die?
Because their government wouldn't let them.
This Christmas, the war is coming home. John Carpenter's Shadow Company.
More company?
There goes the neighborhood.
The past won't stay buried.
This is sick. This is the best movie I've ever heard in my life.
But until then, take care.